So welcome back to the Education Podcast with myself, Kobi and Laura. So today we're going to be covering quite a few topics really, and mainly just reflecting on what you as young people and even parents have been asking in the direct messaging on our social media. So the first thing really that came up was CV writing. So just our top tips really on how to write a good CV, and just to let everybody know that our supporting communities page, so SC Sup on Facebook, actually have staff supporting people with writing it. So have you got anything, your top tips, Laura, on writing a CV?
Or CVs are so personal to every individual, and when I'm in like PHSE lessons in schools and things like that, and I've got a group of children, especially my form class, I tend to ask them to start structuring it out. I think the best way, because everyone's going to write it so differently and it's so individualized, I say Google the format of a CV, pick the one that you think most suits you and you're going to be comfortable writing up, and follow that kind of structure, from having your name on there, going through all your experiences. Essential one that all my children always miss is their contact details. How can you get a job if they can't contact you? So your telephone number, don't be afraid to put that on there, and your email. I know it's funny, but it's just one of those things that's always missed on there, which is really important.
Yeah, and I completely agree.
Yeah, no, and just, always give it a go. Write your CV based on what you can see on examples on somewhere like, Googling on the internet. Fill out all the requirements, and essentially then always get someone to check it, because I'm sure your parents or other friends might have tried to write one, and they might be able to share some advice. And don't be afraid to reach out to us and ask us. Like Kobi said, we've got the site that you can reach out to us, and I'm sure we'd be happy to have a look at it if you could email it across and give you some advice from a professional perspective. So yeah, give it a go. There's lots out there to follow and copy. What I would not suggest is, copying anyone else's word for word or anything like that. Just use the structure so you know what's needed within a CV.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the structure is so important. As long as you've got your name and contact information, and then you've got all your experience, it's looking at how to lay it out. And I think that's the scariest part, and that's the overwhelming part, is not knowing how to structure it. But I think my main advice is check your email, because that many emails I've seen that are so inappropriate for a job. Like, you don't want an email that says coolguy66@gmail. So just make sure it's appropriate. It's your name. Even if you have to set up a Gmail account, like, it's free to do. Just set one up and it's your professional email.
Yeah, that I didn't think of that. That's really good. So, you're moving on from probably what you set up at school, laurafootball.com.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And I would think about your professional writing as well. So the older you get, the easier you're going to find it from your, the things you've learned at school. A CV is formal, so it does need to be written up in the right way. So don't be afraid to ask someone for help to read over, the type of language you're using within it, just to help you, because a job is a professional attribute, and it's taking the next step in earning money, and so it's got to be well tailored for the employee or the recruiter that you're going for.
Yeah, definitely. Good advice. Look at this, we're on a roll. Anyway, so moving on to the next question, it kind of is the complete opposite end. So we've gone from quite I'm assuming mature students looking at their future outside of school really, to now looking at some younger children. So one question we had was how to link education and play for the younger years. So a lot of parents right now are struggling with just making play a lot more education friendly, so the young people being able to learn things like shapes and things like that. Have you got any advice there, Laura?
Yeah, education through play, I think, is actually much easier to do at home with with parents than it is within schools. So I think it's a great opportunity now, while we have this time, to do that, develop, because learning through playing develops cognitive skills, social skills. It has lots and lots of benefit for a child, especially from a younger age. The earlier you can do it, the better. So I think not only encouraging, if you do have that outdoor space, that's amazing. You have a real privilege there, and if you get your children outdoors, that is a learning experience in itself. It's something different where they can do different things. So for me, when I think of this, I think of different games that children can play. If you don't have an outdoor space, something like jump to the beat comes to mind, where it's simply, if you've got half an hour with your children, put some music on, jump to the beat, should I say, and start with an action like hopping, and say, can we do 10 hops to the beat, and go for it, and incorporate different jumps, different skills, different things, and get the children to count with you. They won't realise that they're learning to count. You might get an extra number out of them. There's things you can teach them. They're learning a bit of coordination skills there, and you're just having fun with them, and they're not even realising they're doing it. So that's just like a nice little activity, and a great one to stand up and get moving around if they've been sat doing work all day.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's a great idea. Just being able to link everything, I think, is the most important thing, really. And a lot of the time, I think the parents are almost overthinking it. At the end of the day, your child is learning no matter whether they're just playing with trains or they're crawling around on the floor. They're learning new things, and you just need to encourage it a bit.
No, absolutely. And learning doesn't always have to be educational as such. It could be allowing them to assist in making dinner, or if they're of age where probably maybe 8 and above, that they can use a kettle, or they're safe when you're observing them making a cup of tea. It makes them feel a part of something, and they're helping, and they're learning new skills. So it's a very different perspective to just being from an educational side. I mean, there's so much you can do numerically, from blowing bubbles with them and getting them to count there and having fun with them in that sense. But yeah, don't feel that pressure that it always has to be educational. It can be so simple. Playing games, bingo's counting.
That is how I learned to count. Bingo.
Yeah.
Fun fact about me.
Really, that's amazing. I mean, it's a good one, and you do it without thinking, especially when you've got, parents, really easy. You can just print bingo cards off online and cut them out and get the children to do that bit of arts and crafts, and before you know it, that they're counting to excessive numbers that they probably haven't even learnt yet. And if you're doing that with them, they're learning without realising, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And I think really young, I think Ben pointed out that he has really young children. A good one I lived as a child, especially as an only child, didn't have the privilege of brothers and sisters, but was playing shops. I sat with my yeah, but whether I didn't always have the opportunity to be with my mum and dad, but just one or the other could play shops with me. I was learning about different fruits, vegetables, increasing my knowledge in that sense. And then they'd start to incorporate the money side, so I'd be having to count as a little cashier girl, as pretending to be the little shopkeeper, and it just turns using money and learning new things all into a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. And it's colours as well. If they're so young to the point where they need the simple things, you've got the colours. So rather than learning the fruits, they're learning the colours this time. Or if you set them at simple tasks like, today we're going to find the colour green, and they've got to go around the house and find things that are green, and then they've got to count how many things. It's just really simple things. They don't realise that they're learning. They just think, oh, I've got a scavenger hunt, I get to go find things. And
absolutely. And things like that are very time consuming as well, because children can, if they really are engaged in something and really enjoy it and it's different, they will play for so much longer than they even realize. And that can be really good, because it can be something that you can do if you are having to work from home as well. Alongside that, you can keep them busy, keep going and going, and if they're enjoying it, why not make the most of every activity if they really enjoy it?
Definitely. And I think as well, you can actually incorporate it into your daily exercise. So if you are going on your daily walks, I think, I don't know if it's a thing everywhere, but I know there's a few in my village, and there's a few I've seen on Facebook as well. Some people are putting teddy bears in their windows.
We've done that.
Yeah. So
I might be an adult, but we've done that.
So taking your child on a walk and getting them to count all the bears they see in windows, or if not, a lot of people have got rainbows up, so count the rainbows, or just something to keep them thinking, but really they're just on a walk. And you know, it's the simple things.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I think I saw recently we posted something about going collecting bugs in the garden, which is pretty cool because, you know, I mean, I wasn't a particular fan, but when I was put into situations like that, I just went and did it without thinking about it. Wasn't afraid that that was a spider, or I wasn't afraid of the particular bug, but I just got stuck in because it was an activity and I was, you know, encouraged to do it. And it's funny, isn't it? You do the things you don't realise you might not like or you've never done before, and you just get it really develops a child's ability to, you know, give anything a go.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. So I'd say we can move on. We've covered that one. We've covered quite a bit on there. So hopefully we've given you all some good ideas. The next question was, someone is actually finding it hard to concentrate at home. Now they have a large family and they're just wondering what our tips would be on studying and staying focused in a hectic household.
Gosh, studying at home, it's normal for it to be hard. It's not it. I mean, we're not used to, as humans, like, we haven't been brought up to school from home. We're used to going to a place of school where we you know, study, we sit down and we have classrooms for that reason. So that is a norm for us. So don't be afraid that, you know, you find it difficult or there's large distractions, especially if you're from a large family as well and you've got lots of things going on. So that is normal.
Yeah, exactly. And your house is not like you say, your house is not made for learning. You're so used to coming home. This is your place of relax. Like you don't associate home with work. So I think it's always going to be difficult, and everyone appreciates that. It's just trying to overcome those barriers and get that little bit done.
Absolutely. But I think, as we spoke about previously, you know, tips for kind of studying and having your own space is to find that designated space.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're in a small or a large family, you know, everyone can find their own little bit of space where they say, I'm going to sit down here and do my work because, you know, it's my little place. And with younger ones, make a little den. I'm sure people have tents. There's some quirky things you can do to make it their space.
Oh yeah,
Something I
the sheets of the bed sheets over the sofa, all things like that.
Amazing. Yeah, you can't go wrong with it because we've been in isolation for so long now. It's good to mix it up. If you haven't already done that and have been sitting at a table, why not? Yeah, you know, it's something different. Mixes things up. Get a tent out,
Exactly.
or make your own little den. It's perfect. And I think, you know, but with that, you know, monitoring your children is great, just making sure they are staying on task. But something I've picked up on recently, which I think can be really helpful, as we know that you're not gonna necessarily study for 6 to 7 hours a day like you would at school, is setting a timer when doing a task. And I think I've read a lot on, you know, if a child can see that timer, they know how hard they have to work within that time. And say you only had 15 minutes left of an hour task, and a child can see they've got 15 minutes, they're really probably going to work their hardest within that 15 minutes to try and get it done before the hour.
Oh yeah.
And if a parent can do that and put a timer in front of them and give them that little challenge, they're challenging themselves without realising, and probably being really, really productive in such a short amount of time.
Definitely. And if you can almost set like a little reward after each thing, so I don't know, something simple like, I'll probably get told off for saying bourbon biscuit, but I have a bourbon biscuit, which is
Yeah, whether that be a
healthy
food
alternative.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, whether that be food, a toy, or any small reward, whether it's a star on the board or a treat later, yeah, absolutely. But reward them for their good work, because, you know, we naturally, if we are rewarded, we want to do it again because we want to get another reward, and that's just how we are as human nature.
Exactly.
It works very well with children.
So yeah, so I'd say my advice kind of stems from the same things that you're saying, and we've mentioned it, like you say, in the previous podcast. It is the importance of structure, and like you say, having the designated space. But I also think, get dressed, get up in the morning, don't lounge in your pajamas. Like, it is very tempting, and I know it is because I'm in the exact same boat. But actually getting up, getting dressed, if you're, I don't know, brushing your teeth, having your breakfast, And I've actually seen videos of some students actually putting their school uniform on.
Really?
So if that's what motivates you, put your school uniform on for the case of, I don't know, an hour or two to do your work. I don't know what it is. It's psychological, I think. It's a case of, I've got my uniform on, I'm ready to learn. So get dressed anyway, even if it is just some leggings and a baggy t-shirt, or some shorts and a t-shirt, or whatever, just getting up and getting ready really. And then as for the hectic household, my advice would be highlight your notes. So as you're writing, highlight, and I don't mean highlight everything, but highlight as you're going the important bits. And then if someone comes over to you and distracts you, or someone comes running through the living room screaming, and you get distracted and you lose your train of thought, you can go back to that previous note that you've highlighted, thinking, right, that was the last key point, let me carry on reading, get to the next key point, highlight, and you've almost got that train to follow.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. It's something I haven't done, but I might use that tip myself.
So, okay, linking with that, we actually had a parent ask, she's put, I'm struggling understanding my child's homework. Do you have any advice?
Yeah, teachers are still working. Please, every child should have been given a point of contact within their school, probably their form tutor, who's able to help with things like that. So don't ever be afraid to ask for help. Reach out to them. Ask, most of your children probably of age that understand should have that point of contact, and if they haven't, then the parent will have been given that. So don't be afraid to use what you've got. Children would normally be at school, and if you had a problem with your child whilst they're in school, you would contact their teacher. And so the same forth applies when they're at home now. So do reach out, because some of the tasks, I appreciate, are probably a little bit difficult, or we haven't quite got the knowledge, which is completely fine.
Exactly. And I think linking with that, you've got the luxury of social media nowadays, and I know a lot of people, when isolation first began, released a statement if they were a teacher saying that they'd be happy to help. So I think take advantage of that. If you've got someone, even if they're a friend of a friend, they're a teacher, they will be willing to help. Just drop them a message. The worst they can do is not reply. So I just think, put yourself out there. If you're really struggling and you want to help your child, ask. Like, teachers are everywhere, so there'll be someone to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you just don't know who to reach out to, we are here.
Exactly.
Don't, Instagram and Facebook, don't be afraid to just drop us a message, and I'm sure somewhere between all of us we'll be able to help you and source the right information to support yourself.
Yeah, and just be careful with the internet. I think, as much as I'd advise, the internet is the best place to be, it's sometimes, I don't know, you can get trapped and, I don't know, get the wrong answers. So just make sure you're seeking the right advice, I think, is the most important thing. Even if you, like you say, we're here to help. And I think a lot of people are. There's, like I say, a lot of teachers on social media, and the school, even phone the school, because I know a lot of schools are directing the main line to their homes. So there will be someone that will answer.
No, that's great. Yeah, I think, don't not under no circumstances ever be embarrassed that you don't know what that piece of work is about or how it is, because I won't lie, sometimes teachers are stumped.
Oh yeah,
So,
all the time.
Yeah, surround yourself with the people that can help. Reach out.
Exactly, yeah. And there's a fact as well, there will be someone else in your son or daughter's class who is probably struggling with the same homework. So even getting them to reach out if they're of age to message each other, or messaging their parents if you've got their contact information, just to see how they got on, and just communicating. It's almost that sense of community. It's the class parents, I think it's now that they need to join together and almost form this community and support each other.
And the one thing I would say is, not necessarily to rely on this, but always, if you can ask your child to ask a friend. They might have done their homework, they might have got it done, or they might even be struggling. Then you'll understand. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask a friend in your class. And I'm sure parents are friends with other children's parents, so
that's it, exactly.
Same applies. So yeah, no, really quite, don't be afraid to reach out.
Definitely. So our last almost concern that we got come through was that they heard that schools are opening on June 1st and that they are nervous about going back.
Keep talking about it, really. I mean, I think you said, Kobi, realistically, is this a definite?
Yeah, I think that is the question. Like, we've not heard anything. I know Boris Johnson it's either Sunday or Monday. I know the date keeps changing. I don't know if he's delaying it now till Monday, but he is releasing a statement there. Whether that's education based, I don't know. But I think rumours are primary will be starting before secondary.
That's interesting. But feeling anxious is normal.
Yeah.
We've been out of our routine for a long time. So a few things that I'd probably suggest is, don't be afraid to talk to, I'd probably say the best thing for children, secondary children particularly, reach out to friends, interact again, surround yourself with those people that you feel most comfortable with in preparing for going back, because it can be quite daunting if you haven't seen people for a long period of time. Just to see them straight away at school. So if you can reach out to them, whether that be a text message, via your phone calls or social media, is lovely. And then for those young ones, I think they'll be them going back. I think they'll be most adaptive. They'll be excited to see their friends because they won't have had much contact. But I mean, if a parent can get in a FaceTime with a group of other friends, that would be lovely for them all their little faces to see one another. But get organised. I think particularly for young ones, that they tend to react very well to structure and organisation. It might sound silly, but maybe if we hear that they are going back maybe a week before, when they're doing their schoolwork, you ask them to sit in their school uniform. That might be a bit crazy, but some people do that so they get back into the mode.
Yeah, exactly. It's just getting ready for it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But at the end of the day, be positive. It's we've naturally all these children have been going to school, whether they've even started in September. They've been in that routine, they understand, and I'm sure they'll quickly adapt. So please don't be worried. Hey, and we still don't really know the answer.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a definite. I wouldn't worry about an exact date, and I do believe, and I hope, I hope anyway, that you will be given plenty of notice before you do go back. And I think as well, as a student, you're nervous, but the teachers will be nervous as well. I think it's very normal. You're going from that no structure to doing your work at home and putting it back, going straight back into it for the sake of a month almost, to be back out of routine again for the summer holidays. So I think you have every right to be nervous, but at the same time, think of the positives. So think, oh, you're finally seeing your friends again for the first time in 7 weeks.
Yeah.
You're finally getting that support that you need with your learning. Fair enough, you could have a very supportive household. You could be lucky. You could have a parent who's a teacher. But it's not. I just don't think it's the same. You've not got that peer support. You've not got the structure, like I've said multiple times. So I think you've got to think of the positives. You've got to think you're going back to that place of learning where you gain so much support and you've got all your peers. And I just think you've got to try and stay positive. It's going to be difficult, and I don't think it will be the same for a while. But if anything, I think they will ease students into it. So I think it will be very unlikely. In my eyes, anyway, it'd be very silly to put all the years back in school at the same time. So I think it will be a gradual introduction to school.
No, I think that's very sensible. It's just a sensible suggestion, and we
get me in charge.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But hey, you should never worry about something until the definite.
Exactly. There's no point worrying about what ifs. I think if you really need someone to talk to at the end of the day, like we've said throughout the podcast, we are here on the SC SUP. So capital SC and then SUP on Facebook, and you can direct message us, or you can even direct message us on Instagram now as well. So I think any concerns, send them our way, and that's what our staff are here for. We're here to support you and help you.
Yeah, and don't forget our live chats in the evening, for not just for parents, but for children in particularly, if they want to have a chat with us. Hopefully
exactly.
People are relatable and we can answer any questions.
Yeah, exactly. We're here to listen and we're here to help. But yeah, so thanks again, Laura. That's our second podcast. We flew through it.
I know. Thanks, Kobe. Lovely to chat as always.
So if you guys have any more questions or anything, make sure you send them across and we'll try and cover them hopefully in another one. But yeah, so thank you and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.